On what has become known as Tehran Tollbooth, vessels must now head closer to the Iranian coastline, which is to say they will be moving between the islands of Qeshm and Larak. Now, ship owners who would pass through these narrow points in the straits will have to go through a very complex and also an expensive process of negotiation. First, they will have to, in fact, go ahead and inform the intermediary companies linked to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, of the ship's cargo, destination and ultimate owner. This is as Tehran tries to leverage its control over the Strait of Hormuz. Now, this could be the process by which the ships will have to have an exit after taking their cargoes from their designated ports in the Persian Gulf area. Iran then charges a toll of at least $1 per barrel, or according to the tonnage of the cargo that is there in the ship, and also might rise it in according to the perceived friendliness of the national operator of that ship. This means that probably close countries that have relations with Iran could have a discount when it comes to the toll booth that could be set up by Tehran. And this fees must be paid, interestingly, in Chinese yuan or a cryptocurrency is what is being suggested. Now, this means that the de-dollarization process could be what the Iranians are aiming at and do not want their assets being frozen as it was done at the beginning of the US campaign against Iran. Now, the average rate for a single oil tanker to pass could in fact be around $2 million. That is the fee that would have to be paid at the toll booth that Tehran is likely to set up to leverage its control over the Strait of Hormuz. Now, if everything is approved, the IRGC boats will finally provide an escort into and out of the Strait of Hormuz. Now, analysts believe that with the basic calculations on this particular toll that Iran could set up, Iran would be richer by $500 billion in 5 years, more than enough to carry on with its reconstruction process and also boost its economic activity. This system, though, is considered to be illegal now because it is part of a reaction coming out from the war in the West Asian region. It represents one of Iran's biggest win, with it having complete control over Hormuz, which is to say that it will also have control over the trading activity in the region as well as on the trading activity of its Gulf neighbors as well, especially with regard to UAE, Qatar, Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, who use the Persian Gulf to send cargo out for export of their hydrocarbons. We are now joined in by Dr. Jayant Dasgupta, former ambassador to World Trade Organization. Dr. Jayant Dasgupta, the ceasefire is set to be in place. Now, who is going to control Hormuz? And Iran has made it unabashedly clear that they are in charge. What should India expect and what should world expect when we talk about maritime trade through the Strait of Hormuz?
First thing which comes to mind is that Iran has now laid a claim to the Strait of Hormuz navigation. And as you mentioned, the Tehran toll tax, that is, one doesn't know whether it will get lifted ever or it will continue to be in place. The $2 million that Iran is going to charge, it has also mentioned that it will share it with Oman. In what proportion is also not clear. The other point I wanted to mention is that Iran has, amongst its 10-point plan, has mentioned that the US forces should withdraw from the region, which could mean that Iran is demanding that the US vacate its bases in the whole of the Middle East. Now, whether the US will agree to it or not is another point. So, in short, the prices of oil and gas are bound to rise because of the war reparations that Iran is demanding in terms of the $2 million per ship or dollar per barrel. The second point is that very important that the US, especially during President Trump's second administration, had been uh, railing against the BRICS nations for trying to de-dollarize world trade. And one of the biggest components of world trade is the trade in oil. And Iran, if it gets what it has demanded, that the toll tax be paid in Chinese yuan or cryptocurrency, would have succeeded in large measure in de-dollarizing uh, quite a bit of the oil. Because if 20% of the world's oil is passing through the Strait of Hormuz, and if it has to pay a toll tax in Chinese yuan or cryptocurrency, then it would lead to de-dollarization indeed. And Iran is dealing in Chinese yuan in terms of its oil sales to China. So that is, these are all developments which will follow if this truce remains in place for the medium to long term. So the prices of oil and natural gas will rise as a consequence. There would be, because for exports also, ships would have to navigate through the Strait of Hormuz to go on to, let's say, Bahrain, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia, Iraq, UAE, of course, as well. So the the price of exports will rise in the sense that the margins may get squeezed, or the importing countries may have to end up paying more. Imports of oil and gas, sulfur, for instance, is a very important import product from the Gulf, which is very important for making sulfuric acid for fertilizer use. So all these things which the Gulf countries export, the prices of all these things will go up. And of course, there has been a 16% decline in the oil prices overnight because of the truce. But the business is still, I think, looking at it with a great deal of skepticism whether it will last or there will be, skirmishes or a full scale going back to a full scale war after some time.
Well,
The
uh,
last point I wanted to mention
yes.
is that Israelis have not acceded to the truce demand that there should not be further attacks on Lebanon. As we all know, the portion south of the Litani River, from which 600,000 Lebanese have had to vacate their homes, that has been occupied by Israel. So the attacks on Hezbollah will continue. Israel's plan of occupying that southern part of Lebanon, that remains unclear.
Well, Dr. Jayant Dasgupta, one crucial aspect of this entire ceasefire, and as we were speaking about it, as you pointed out rightly, there are irritants within this entire ceasefire deal. It's just that, are we looking just as the pause in the fighting, or are we going to see these irritants build over? Because you have the Arab countries who are doing the hydrocarbon exports, and if they are going to face this kind of a toll, the importers are also going to face this kind of a toll. It's going to build up tensions between the Arab countries and Iran. And most Saudi Arabia has been looking to be the regional superpower, the dominating power. It is not going to let a Hormuz controlled by Iran in the long run, isn't it?
Absolutely right. I agree that there would be tension. Uh, the warlike activities may come to an end, hopefully, but these economic tensions will continue. And this question of who dominates not only the Gulf but the Islamic world, whether it will be a polarized Islamic world with Iran uh, along with a good part of Iraq, uh, that will continue to pose a challenge to Saudi dominance. That is something which we will have to reckon with. As far as Saudi Arabia is concerned, of course, they have another route, which will be again very expensive, from their oil fields to the Bab el Mandeb Straits in the southeastern corner, the southwestern corner, I think, on the Red Sea, which is across the from the African continent, Yemen. So that route could be used, but the Houthis again are aligned with the Iranians. So all in all, there would have to be a realignment of forces in terms of Middle East, and if the U.S., which has shown that it is losing its interest in the Middle East as a supplier of oil and gas, because it is now more than self-sufficient, it is now an exporter. If that continues and the Iranians keep up the pressure that the US has to vacate its bases, then I think the equation will undergo a fundamental change. Then Saudi Arabia may also have to adjust to the new, you know, scenario. But Pakistan may then get in. The vacuum may be exploited by China for all you know, because China has also, uh, managed to build very close relations with Saudi Arabia and with some of the other Gulf countries.